That's
big,
how it started.
That's a big.
You probably scared the living daylights out of everyone. Just sitting there, like looking at our Crunch Bowl, the little blue logo, just like where's the podcast,
and then just. I just got a little choke on my coffee.
Would you like to start the show?
Yeah, sure. Welcome.
Welcome to the Crunch.
Oh,
it's your boy Ethan.
It's not. No. This is different. This isn't the Crunch. This is. Well, I guess this is going to go up.
This is the brunch.
This is going to go up live. It's going to be so funny because this is going to have the feel of like a live show that we would do together.
Yeah.
But it's going to sound to people who listen to it afterwards the exact same as one of our normal podcasts.
So like a live show.
So like a live show.
Yeah, like a live show.
But our live shows, they can hear that we're like with people.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, it's gonna feel more like the Seek episode where we were sitting in a box and you couldn't hear anyone outside, but we were interacting with people.
Right, exactly. So we're going to be talking to people as we do it, but it will just sound like we're just two goofy guys.
Andrew Jordan has entered the group chat.
Jittery than normal. Hello, everybody who's in the chat. Welcome
to the chat, everyone.
Welcome to the chat. Everything's going to go down in the chat. I hope you all are prepared to lock down for an hour. Andrew, you know this isn't pre-recorded because I'm responding to you in real time. I don't like that.
Shout out, Alex.
Shout out, Alex. Shout out everybody in the chat. We can't just do chat shout outs the whole time. Hello, everybody. Everybody's hopping in.
So I want the record to reflect that we figured out how to use YouTube live streaming literally 30 minutes before this whole shindig started. Like we sat down at the desk and Ethan was like, "Oh crap, Patrick, it's going to take 24 hours for us to authenticate."
I thought that I could just set it up and just do a Google Hangout and then blast it out to the internet. But then I get this verification thing that's like, you can't start live streaming for another 24 hours. It's for whatever reason, Patrick must have set up for his Fortnite brand that he previously invested in. He already had live streaming set up.
Yeah.
And so honestly, if you don't remember doing it, that was probably divine intervention. Like the Lord was like, these two guys are idiots.
They're going to try to do something fun and they're not going to be able to do it. Their entire day is going to be ruined. They're going to feel so off. Okay. So he did it. I went all out for this. All right. Obviously I prepared in advance.
Prepared nothing.
I prepared so far in advance that I don't even remember preparing. That's how prepared I was. Also, I bought like a really nice webcam so you guys can see me in beautiful 1080p. Yeah. $10 extra, right? Instead of 720p. Yeah. And also I worked on this beautiful set behind me that makes me look like an intellectual and also a fun guy. And
makes someone look like a dude who had guessed on Catholic Answers. That's what you look like right now.
Thank you. I take that as a compliment.
Yeah.
Someone just asked about the Captain America cross. Yes, that is a Captain America shield on a cross behind me. And the story behind that is every year in drama, when I was in high school, we would have to make trophies for each other. So we would get awards. And so like it was kind of like a Secret Santa. Like you pulled someone's name out of a hat and you made an award for them. And my friend Caitlin got me this award. It was called the Father Pat Award. And she put the three things that encompass who I was in high school: Jesus, Captain America, and attention. That's why it says applause on it. I don't know if you can tell.
Wow.
But it says applause.
I don't know if I hate it or not.
I've kept it for literally 5 years. It's been great.
I don't want to impugn your treasured memories.
I'll give you $20 if you can define the word impugn right now.
It means to insult or defray or.
Did you just Google it?
No, I'm not. No, it's hands in the air. I'm not
hands in the air. I don't care.
I know what impugn means. It means to kind of to diminish.
I know
or
what
to
impugn
insult.
means.
What does it mean?
Impugn is a verb. Synonyms include.
Okay, whatever. I'm just saying. The look of the American flag on the cross is never one that I'm just like.
Oh yeah, it's definitely gotten worse over the years of like yeah. I just remembered I didn't send the link to Phoebe, so I have to do that.
Yikes!
I sent the link to my mom and to Twitter, but not Phoebe.
Man, that set's looking more like a doghouse each and every day.
Wow. Oh,
Bada bang. Oh, you gotta.
Something.
That's why the webcam's only from the chest up, because nobody wants to see your ball and chain on your leg. Get it?
Oh, okay. Good. This is a safe for work podcast.
Absolutely, it is.
Man, yeah, no, Andrew. Phoebe is not a Patreon supporter of the podcast, and I'll tell you why. She already does enough. Like, she already has to put up with so much.
She's a Patreon. She's an emotional Patreon supporter.
She's an emotional supporter.
She's a patron of Patrick's sensibilities, and I don't have one yet. But when I do,
Phoebe Johnson, patron of my heart,
she will also be counted among the elite
one day. Oh man, yeah. What are we talking about today? Oh, so
okay, so go ahead.
I remember I texted you. You didn't respond. It was a provocative text.
When was that?
It was a text earlier today. I told you I'm about to go do yoga for the first time.
Because I was at mass. That's why I did.
Oh, you were at mass.
Yeah.
Well, I was doing yoga. Okay.
Yes.
That's got some implications. So I the whole time I was outside, and literally it was exclusively old women. It was like it was exclusively 50-year-old women and me.
Yeah.
And the whole time I was like, I really, really, really hope this isn't a mortal sin.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay, keep going.
What? Go ahead.
No. Me and my dad talked about it, and for a second I was like defending it, but I think he convinced me that I don't think it's ever okay.
Yeah, I kind of got that vibe at the end. Like,
yikes.
I was like, oh, this is weird. This is weird shiz. It was like totally normal exercise and stretching, like stuff that I had done before, and I was learning new stuff, which was good.
Yeah,
and like also, I think yoga is helpful because it gives names to stretches to help you remember them easier. Right? Like, do you know what a hip flexion is?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do?
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
I know what a hip flexor is, then I assume a hip flexion is just stretching your hip flexor.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you can memorize all those names, or you can know I'm going to shape myself like a dog now, or I'm going to stand like a warrior now. That I think that's the appeal, is like you can learn how to stretch and apply names to it. But then at the end, the instructor was like, "My light sees the light that's in all of your lights," and I was like, "You better be talking about the light of Christ, or I'm about to go off."
No, so I also think that like the downward dog stretch is like designed to invoke spirits. So it's like, yeah, I'm not joking.
Okay.
And so I think it's, yeah, I was like talking to my dad and I was like, and this was my question. It's like, I understand why yoga is no bueno. But I don't understand why somebody can't just go and stretch and then not participate in any of the paganry stuff, because God made our bodies before pagans invented yoga.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong about like putting our bodies in these certain ways. And my dad said, it doesn't matter because yoga was invented specifically for like pagan worship, and those sorts of things, like using the bodies in service of the gods, and all that stuff. Yeah. And so there's no way to do it if you know that without putting yourself at risk, even if you don't know it, without putting yourself at risk to some sort of spiritual something. And I was like, I was trying to come up with all the best reasons why I disagreed with him, but I couldn't come up with anything. So I think that's what I think, but also you have more of a degree than I do. So
yeah. So if you do something demony, even if you're not trying to do something demony, then it's bad. And I just wasn't sure if yoga was in that category of things that are demony. Demonic.
Yeah, I think it is. I don't trust anything that's demony.
Yeah, so because I've been working out a lot, and I've noticed how tense I get, and I was on YouTube's, and I found some like
you say tense, I say firm.
All right. Okay, sounds good. See, I was trying to exercise, but Madeline, thank you. Now I need to get exorcised. Am I right? You get it?
That's pretty good, pretty clever.
When I say, yeah, there it is, Tristan.
Everyone's just calling for your exorcism in the chat.
Everyone's calling for my excommunication.
Excommunication.
Definitely after I learned a lot about like how to properly stretch and how to like not hurt myself and how to like get a workout while stretching. I sweated a lot, by the way. It was uncomfortable.
Yeah,
but
is this why you wanted to talk about sweat? Is because
this is why I wanted to, because Ethan's like I'm sweating standing still. But
I get sweaty every time we record, whether it's live or just us. Like I will sit here and I will just beads of sweat will roll down into my shirt, and they'll make the middle of the shirt wet because they don't hit the armpit because I'm sitting like this, and so it rolls down and it drops, and then it hits the middle of the shirt. So I just have this ring of like droplets right around.
Wow, that's incredibly disgusting.
It's it's fine.
Just like slower, more detail, please.
Sorry.
I need you to explain more to me about. Hey, Tristan, I was about to shout you out. Shout out Tristan, because I think he's the reason why my YouTube account was set up for live streaming. Because
of the Crunch Live show.
Yeah, no, the Crunch Live show, but also he tried to help me set up a YouTube channel back in the day.
That's right. What was it called? This no, hold on.
I don't want to talk about
it. It's something juice.
Yeah, Theo juice. I stand by it. I stand by that. I still I stand by it, but then I found out about Spirit Juice Studios and I was like, all right, I'm out. I'm out on juice.
My dad called so I've been taken to calling things juice lately, and my dad did it, and I thought it was really funny because he made like some French press coffee this morning after mass, because it's the Sabbath you guys celebrate. And and he said he was very worried that I was going to spill, and he's like, don't spill that stuff, it's good juice. And I'm like, I didn't know that you spoke that way, but it was,
oh my gosh,
I didn't spill any. He was impressed. He said, good job.
Wait, one more thing about this yoga class before I move on. This yoga class was at the YMCA. You know what YMCA stands for, Ethan? I thought I was safe because YMCA
Yoga Man,
for the Yoga Man Christian Association, the Young Men's Christian. I thought this was a Christian association. I thought I was at a Christian yoga class.
It has it, but it's not. It doesn't stand for that anymore. It's just the Y. There's no more YMCA. It's just the Y.
But why?
Shut up.
It's just the young. It's just the young. It's just the yoga. It stands for the yoga now.
You should remake the Village People song where it's just young. There's no need to get down. I said young.
Hey Tristan, no advertising in the chat. The chat's over there, or is it over there? I don't know.
I did something yesterday. Never mind. This is actually cool. I was watching the news with my mom. Yes, okay, so we can explain the sock first before I go more. I know.
Look at how professional I look.
You look professional.
Look at how professional I look.
This sock that I've just put.
You can tell where all your Patreon money goes. Right into this guy's bank account.
Straight to Pittsburgh. I don't get any of it. Okay, so I have a sock on my microphone because I have not purchased a pop filter, and Patrick and everybody kept saying, oh, Ethan, your voice sounds bad. Your recording is terrible. You need to get better. And so I've invested in a sock, which just means that I went up and I found this sock, which has no partner. It's just a right sock. There's no left sock. I was like, you're not doing anything. So it's a soda filter. That's ridiculous. So I have the sock on. But anyway, it still sounds good. I still sound like you. I still sound as good as you do. I think.
You do?
Yeah. Maybe not.
No, you do.
But I was watching the news with my mom today, and I wanted to share some stuff with you that I was learning.
Okay.
So it was about this was the Sunday morning news. My mom watches the Sunday morning news every single week. You know, the news with the sun. You know what I'm talking about? It's on CBS. It's been going on for years and years and years and years. And they did a whole episode, hour and a half episode on a whole episode on Florence, Italy, right? And they were talking about this billionaire, and I thought it was fascinating. And I was like, oh, I could talk to Patrick about this on the live show. Sunday morning. Yeah, that's the Sun. Yes, Miranda Mack knows. So they were talking about this billionaire who started doing like a cashmere sweater business way back when he was a kid. And now he runs a $500 million clothing company, and like Ryan Reynolds wears his suits and stuff. Oh. And he was talking about how
he played Pikachu.
He did. Detective Pikachu, mind you. Don't he earned that.
Of course, yeah. He took that test.
And so he was talking about how every day, and this is like might just be a cultural thing in Europe, but I also thought it was really, really cool about how every day he gives his workers a 90-minute like mandated lunch break, and there's a in factory like dining hall that everybody goes to and everybody eats at for 90 minutes. And he doesn't let anybody work past 5:30. Overtime is not allowed. And in his factory, he has a whole like wall that's just windows so that there's tons of natural light so that nobody feels like they're working inside, you know?
I can't drink from this side.
And so Patrick's not listening to me. He's just watching the chat, which is very annoying. But I was listening to this billionaire talk about how he treats his workers and about all of the restorative work that he did to all these churches, and about how he was spending his money on making the industrial districts, like returning them back to the way they were before, like lots of natural trees and like all these things. And I was like, if our billionaires in America spent their money the same way that this Italian dude spent their money, we would live in such a different country. Like, can you imagine Jeff Bezos saying everybody has a mandated 90-minute lunch break and nobody's allowed to work past 5:30, and also I'm going to repair churches and nature? Like, that just wouldn't happen, you know? It's incredible. Just instead we have billionaires dropping condoms in Africa. And it's like, it was very interesting to me, like the cultural difference, but also the actual, like, this dude cares, you know, and he's not some just, I mean, I'm sure he's money grubbing to an extent. You can't be a billionaire without, but
yeah, well, there's a tradition. There's more of a tradition of patronage in Europe, right? Like,
yeah,
that's the problem with Diet Coke in the middle of a broadcast.
You burping?
Me burping. Yeah, I don't just let it rip in the middle of the podcast like Ethan does.
I don't do that anymore.
There's more of like a history of richer people paying like artists or like sponsoring churches and that sort of thing. But that tradition really isn't available, or not available. That tradition isn't as practiced in America for some reason.
Because it's the pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to fix something, do it yourself. Put your mind to it.
It's also kind of utilitarian. It's like, if you don't have a job that can make you money, then you don't deserve to make money.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Anyway, I mean, look at my job. You know, I exist only because of patronage of other people.
Only because of the patronage. Also, Andrew, I would appreciate it if you didn't put me on blast in the middle of my podcast. Apparently,
Patrick, we are recording together. Okay, we can address the chat from time to time, but I feel like you're paying more attention to these hot side pieces such as Andrew Jordan, and not paying attention to me, your one true love.
You know what, Ethan, you're right. I'm gonna minimize the group chat so that our marriage can continue,
and I'm gonna leave it open.
There you go. That's
we're in an open chat relationship.
The complementarity of Ethan and Patrick. Mm-hmm. That's the name of the episode.
Oh. Do you think? Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
No, the title of the episode is "The Crunch Live Show?" ? Because I made that title thinking that I was. Never mind. But yeah, I think that. So I was talking to Father Harrison today.
Really?
He said that Americans are more generous than Canadians.
I mean, that's not surprising.
So is it like just getting worse as you go further north?
Further secular, probably.
Oh, that's probably a good point.
But that's maybe it's horseshoe theory, because like Europe is super secular, and so they've like gone all the way around, and now they're generous again.
Yeah,
maybe for the wrong reasons.
Maybe more for a humanitarian.
America's only like here on the horseshoe, so we're still generous, but like we don't actually do anything. And Canada's like here, so they're really far away from generosity, but they're getting all the way back, maybe around here. I don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah, could be.
I don't really know how much I can speak to the ins and outs of being a billionaire.
Yeah,
but
one day
I can tell you one day
this podcast will make us media moguls.
Oh, I freaking hope not.
Do I really look like a gamer boy?
No.
Okay.
No, right, whatever. You don't. It's harder to lie to you when you can see my face.
Yeah. Okay. So you're saying you normally? Whatever.
Yep.
We uploaded the pro-life episode today, didn't we?
Yeah, pro-life episode went out today. So spoiler alert, we talked about abortion today, but I did call the episode the one about abortion. I couldn't think of a funny.
There's not title. Really anything funny. I would have just said the abortion episode. That's what I do whenever there's like whenever we did a serious episode, I would just title it we're talking about this, because you don't want to do a jokey title about abortion.
I decided to make a half-baked Friends reference.
Yeah. Which is still good.
It's kind of worse, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of worse than trying to make a joke.
Yeah. We should open it up to questions from the chat if there's anything that people want us to talk about.
We should. All right. Hey, the chat.
Why did you start speaking louder as if they can't hear us? What do you do? What do you understand this medium?
Look, this is the first time I've done this too. Okay, there's no rules here. This is the crunch.
Yeah. No, this is
the
anyway.
crunch.
Until some questions roll in. What else has been going on? We since last we spoke, which was like
we spoke last night.
3 days ago. We've talked a lot in like the past week.
Yeah, we talked the entire length of an episode, and then we did an episode the next day. So
yeah, because I have to go to. So I'm going to Ave Maria on Thursday, and we have to record 4 or 5 episodes before I leave on Thursday, which means we're doing an interview with Father Dan tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
And then Father Dan. You might have to do some interviews on your own because I don't know if we'll be able to complete like 5 weeks worth of content in the next 4 days.
I can do some interviews on my own. I did it last time, but like,
yeah, you did. But I'd like to contribute a little bit more than I did last time. Because last time I was just like, bye. And then you did everything.
I mean, so this episode of the episode with Father Dan, that covers us for 2 weeks, which is fine. And like that gets rid of the need to like have me find someone to work with one-on-one. Yeah. But I don't know if I want to do another solo episode. I don't think that one worked as well as I wanted it to.
Yeah, I think solo episodes are good as long as we do them together.
What?
Joke.
That's good. That's good.
Okay. Do you want to tackle some of these questions?
Oh, there's questions?
We have there's one. We'll do the one from Madeline first, and then as there are more questions, we can just talk about them as they come up.
You can go to the super chat and you can pay us money.
That's true.
We're not YouTubers, but this will all go to my YouTube account.
Is it linked with your bank account? Like if somebody pays $5 to put a text in, then
if someone pays $5, it'll go to my YouTube account, and then I'll have to link to my.
Okay, so you're saying we could still be making money from this?
We could still make money from this, yeah. And Absolutely. I think what's gonna happen is I'm gonna unlist this video until we post the episode next week. Yeah.
Okay. So first question,
Miranda. That means a lot.
First question, Madeline. Any advice on vocational discernment? Really been struggling lately. I don't even know what I want, much less what God wants. That's a good question. You work on turning on the super chat, and I'll work on answering the question.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
So, vocational discernment is really tough. Something that me and Pat have both experienced in various ways throughout the past couple of years. I think the number one tip that anybody who knows anything about anything will give you is that your pursuit of holiness is the most important thing. And like when I was younger, like high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. But as I got to college and I started to actually pursue my faith and started actually taking holiness as a priority, then these vocational sort of like, I don't know what you call them, but threads that I could follow. You ever read Dune?
I did.
You know about the you know about the golden path, the terrible purpose, all of these things that when you take the spice, you can see the threads into the future, and you can walk these lines. And so I'm not comparing the spice to prayer, because the spice is a drug, but I am also going to compare the spice to prayer. And so I think that in a similar way, once you start to pray more, once you start to prioritize holiness, you start to actually encounter Jesus in the scriptures regularly and in depth. You regularly attend daily mass, you regularly attend Eucharistic adoration. Through all of these things, you start to know who Jesus is, right? And when we know who Jesus is, it's a lot easier for us to hear where he's calling us to. And so if you're trying to discern vocationally and you think that you have like a vocation to a religious life or marriage or whatever, but you don't know, then the only real solution is prayer. The only real solution is pursuing Christ. Like that's what a vocation is. Our primary vocation is holiness. And so everything else comes after that. And so if being a priest or being a sister isn't going to make you holier, then you shouldn't do it. But you can only figure that out by getting holier. You know what I mean? And so it's stupid advice and not one that actually people want to hear, but just take a year praying for an hour every day. And then by the end of it, you'll probably have a pretty good idea of where you need to head, So I don't know. What do you think? Did I miss anything? Did I skip any?
No, you didn't. And also, I can't enable super chat because I don't have 1,000 subscribers.
Oh,
so smash that subscribe button down below.
Smash the subscribe button. We'll get you from 100 to 106.
So I heard some really good advice recently, and it's that vocations are only ever responses to God.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like, there are no self-starters in the spiritual life, right? There's no way to like grind and get to where God wants you to go, as if you need to like figure it out. It's always a response. So Madeline, if you're discerning religious life, like you said in the chat, go on a retreat. You know, it's always like you obviously have this desire for, maybe you have this desire. Maybe I want to check out religious life, right? I've been in that same position. I was sitting in my car in Pennsylvania, and I was sitting outside of this church. I just gone to mass and confession, and I was sitting in my car, and God was like, "Hey, sign up for a discernment weekend."
Yeah.
I was like, "All right." She just said something else. I love this. It's really hard getting married and having kids. Yeah. So I actually don't think that I can speak to what. Okay, I should probably read what she said. So she said, "I love the sisters. They feel like family, but it's hard because getting married and having kids sounds like one of the best things in the world." That's the thing. It is one of the best things in the world. And I don't know if I can exactly speak to that from like your lens, because those emotions and feelings and drives are different for women than it is for men.
That's true.
And I can say from the perspective, like, it was hard for me in high school, because I was like, but I want to get married and I want to have kids, which is funny because in high school,
I want to be a dad.
I want to be a dad. But then when I discerned in college, I was like, man, celibacy sounds great. I'm super excited. I actually posted about this yesterday on my blog. Patrick,
not the blog.
The blog.
Not the blog.
But anyway, so Father Anthony said something really awesome in a homily in Chicago, and then he said it again on Catching Foxes a couple of days ago. The Rich Young Ruler, which is where we get, it's topical because that's where we get the evangelical counsels of poverty, chastity, and obedience. When the Rich Young Ruler said, what can I do to be perfect? And Jesus looked at him with love. That's the first thing that the gospel says. Like, looked at him with love and said, you must sell everything you have. Come follow me. Right. And so then his face fell and he looked sad. I'm probably butchering it, and Father Anthony's probably mad. That's just kidding. Father Anthony never gets mad. But he stopped looking at Jesus. That's Father Anthony. That was his point. It was like he stopped looking at Jesus' gaze of love. And if you remain in Christ's love, it's annoyingly simple to say, but it's annoyingly somehow feels impossible to do. Right? Because that's all that prayer is, and that's all discernment is. It's remaining in God's love and only making decisions based on where that love pulls you. Yeah.
And I think another, like, that's true, but like a practical sort of thing is like, if you're taking steps in a direction and you're receiving more consolation, you're receiving more encouragement, and like you're getting excited about the direction that you're going in, it's probably a good indication that the Lord wants you to keep going that way. Not going to say all the time, but it's a pretty good indication. But if you're taking a step and like maybe you go to a discernment weekend or whatever, and you're feeling like, oh man, I don't actually, this doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm not actually excited about this. I didn't like anything that we did or prayed about or talked about. Then that's a pretty good indication that you should be going in a different direction.
Yeah.
And so, but you can only find that out by taking steps. Like nobody ever found out that they're supposed to be a priest by staying and praying and not doing anything about it, or a sister or whatever. So take a step, take a chance, break away.
It's on me. It's actually funny because I signed up for the vocation weekend, and then my sent team had a retreat that weekend, and so I had to cancel. And they said, that's okay. We have another one coming up. And then they signed me up for that weekend. And then that month, I had a conversation with my spiritual director about Phoebe. And I started dating Phoebe. Nice. And then that was before the next. So I never ended up going because I started dating Phoebe. But it was funny because they called me and they were like, we'll fly you to Boston, like book the flight and we'll reimburse you. And I was like, man, that sounds so fun, but sorry, no.
but Phoebe.
But Phoebes.
All about the Phoebes. Yeah, I mean, I went to a discernment weekend and it just didn't go well. I went to two. I went to one back to back. Because I went to the first one and I was like, I don't think this is it for me. And then I go another year, and like the November or December of my senior year, I was like, I really feel like I need to go to seminary. Like I was really just, I was like, I wanted to do something, and I knew it needed to be radical. And so I was like, I should go to seminary. Like this would be great. I would get to pray. I get to do this crazy stuff and blah, 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 blah. And then I went on the discernment weekend and I was like, this is not the right answer. A couple months later, the Lord was like, be a focus missionary. And here I am. So he was calling me to something, right? And I had to take a step to figure out what it was. So I took a step towards the priesthood, and then I found out, oh, that's probably not it. So then I was still open. I was still available. And then when I received the call to be a focus missionary, it was very clear. And I knew that that's what it was, because I had been intentionally discerning, intentionally praying, and intentionally asking him what he wanted me to do. And also I grew a lot in holiness, like by the grace of God that semester. And so it was easy for me to receive it in that time. So
it looks like you wore her down.
Anyway,
she said she'll have to define a discernment weekend. But yeah. So Madeline, that's actually the thing, is like, if you're having this struggle, it's funny because I don't know if you know, but you're not the only person who's ever had that struggle of religious life is awesome. Married life is awesome too. You're actually not the first person.
Wait, hold on, back it up. You are the first one. You're the only one to have this problem.
But see, here's the thing. It's either the devil or it's a lie you told yourself. You feel alone in this.
Yeah.
You feel alone in this, and that's fine. You might not. I don't know your heart, but like, it's very possible that someone's trying to make you feel alone in this. And if you go on a discernment weekend, or if you hang out with those sisters and you ask them about this issue,
I just picked my nose live on camera on accident.
Sorry, what?
I just picked my nose live on camera on accident. I hope nobody saw that.
Oh, that's weird.
I forget that I can't do that in this version of the show.
I've been very I'm
very unaware of the camera.
we have a never mind. But
do you think if
on a discernment weekend with a group of sisters, that's a group of people who have gone through that struggle, because like that's a common struggle. It's like, because when you choose celibacy, you're choosing to say no to something good for the sake of something better, God's will for your life.
Exactly. So I would let's do we got another question maybe. What? Why are you laughing?
Andrew said like nothing. We saw nothing, and then you spoke and then told us.
Hey, let's see here. Have you heard of secular/atheists attending Catholic schools? A friend just joined the admin for a Catholic school and said the majority are agnostic at best. It's a question from Andrew Jordan. We've talked about Catholic schools before. We both went to public school, and so it's kind of hard for us to speak on it super knowledgeably. But I do think
Catholic school.
What?
I went to Catholic school
for high school.
No, until I went to Catholic school from pre-K until 5th grade.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I only know your recent history.
You don't know me at all, do you? And then I went to an actual Catholic college.
Yes.
Yeah. But no, please go on.
Sorry. It's my bad. I don't think it's super. I mean, up until your 5th grade year, you can't really be agnostic because you're just a kid, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, it's really hard to, anyway. So the thought of most of the students, or a lot of the students, being agnostic or atheists in Catholic schools is very real, because a lot of people, especially, I was talking to somebody on, I think, Reddit about the Australian Catholic schools are way, way better than the public schools. And so people will just pay to get their kids to go to those schools because they're just so much better. And then all these people are complaining about, oh man, they're teaching them, that should I make sure that my kid knows that evolution is real before I send them to this Catholic school, and yada, yada, yada. And so there's like a large misconception about what the Catholic Church actually teaches, which I think lends itself to a lot of frustration and misunderstanding between the home and the school. And then the kid just winds up in the middle, and then they're like, none of this is real. And so they just kind of back out. Yeah. Which I think that's one of the biggest reasons, is the parents not understanding exactly whether they're Catholic or not, just not knowing what the Catholic Church teaches. And then the Catholic school teachers also not knowing what the Catholic Church teaches. And so everyone just kind of ends up in this weird, strange zone. And so I don't know how to fix that other than mandatory camps where people are forced to learn. the truth of our dogmas and doctrines.
You meant like summer camps?
No, I meant
you meant internment camps.
I was gonna say internment camps, but I was like, wait, this is live and it's gonna go on YouTube forever, so maybe I shouldn't say internment.
No, you should not advocate for internment.
It's not internment. It's like an internship camp. Where is that okay to say?
That social construct where college students pay you to do work for you.
I think that'd be actually a really funny like video where these guys are like, yeah, I got this internship. And it's at like a camp, and they go and then they realize that they're at an internment camp slowly, and it's not an actual internship, and they just think they're not getting paid. I think that could be a funny bit.
That'd be hilarious if it weren't also tied to the suffering of millions.
That's true. I'm sorry. I can't.
Like Teresa has this bit. I don't know if I can say this on the. I can. She has this bit where she says moral relativistic phrases as if she were a Nazi. Like, okay. I will follow my bliss. I will do all that makes me happy. I will follow my own arrow.
That is funny though. Yeah, have really you seen funny. There's the video from that Mitchell and Webb look where they're Nazis and they realize that they're the baddies. You know what I'm talking about? Are we the baddies? And like, so I think it's okay to joke about those things as long as it's... What? What?
Just read the chat. Just read the chat.
Oh, okay. Oh,
anyway,
we won't talk about. And I was also thinking of. Never mind. We're moving on.
We're done.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
What were
we talking about?
Oh, okay.
We're talking about Catholic schools.
So there's like a natural atheism that occurs. Maybe not natural, but there seems to be a regular atheism in kids right around middle school. So if you look at the numbers, the big bad statistics, there are 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds and 8-year-olds who identify themselves as atheists.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And here's the thing is because when you're raised Christian, right? We all go in all of our development, we go through this separation from our parents, right? We go through this this period where I am no longer my mom's, I am my own. Mm-hmm. And so that's normal. In fact, it happens when you're a little baby and you learn to stop going to your mother for food. Little baby. You go through the same separation from your parents when you become a preteen, become an adolescent. And so if in certain cases, I don't know if it has anything to do with bye Madeline. If you have something to do, it has something to do with like the way you're raised or the way that you preach to your kid. I don't know if it has anything to do with that, but sometimes that association of breaking off from your parents, sometimes the faith goes with it and you break off from your parents' faith as well as just your parents. Some kids are fortunate enough to develop their faith on their own, and then when they break off from their parents, they still have their faith, right? So that's why when I was starting this job and we were talking about the middle school youth ministry, I kept impressing upon the CCD teachers and upon the catechists and all of the faith formation leaders. I was like, we can no longer assume that these kids are Christian. We can no longer assume that they haven't been won over to the gospel. And I think that what Andrew brings up is we should be talking to every middle school student as if they don't believe in God. Like in a sense, right? We should treat all of them like their faith is not a given, because you can't come into a middle school. I mean, I think we see this in the way that secular people talk about the church, right? You can't just come in and say, the Bible says don't do that, so don't do that. Like, it's true, the Bible does say don't do that sometimes, but that's not going to help, because a lot of moral issues in the Catholic Church have an internal logic, and that needs to be taught. So I guess that's my answer, is like an atheist or an agnostic kid in a Catholic middle school wouldn't bother me if the Catholic schools were teaching the kerygma. But see, that's the thing,
is that there's no charismatic.
Are they?
Yeah. Like, when is the first time that you like actually remember hearing the kerygma?
Okay, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Remembering that's tough.
Not remembering, but like was actually made aware that like this is the gospel and it's being preached to me. You know?
So I would say that half the kerygma was preached to me throughout most of my time at my Catholic school, But it wasn't until I hit high school and went to a Steubenville conference that the last part of the kerygma, the most important part, because you can say Christ died for me and all that stuff, but like imagine
and all that
but like imagine for a second that just some random dude said, I'm gonna die for everybody, and then did.
Yeah.
What would that affect, right? It was a story for me up until high school when someone said to me, not only did God create us for to be his sons and his daughters, and then we broke that relationship, but Christ came to give us his own sonship, and we enter into that mystery, and we are an integral part of his salvation, of his salvific plan. Like that's how you take the kerygma from some obscure deity that lives outside in the ethos, and then you bring that all the way down to the individual person.
Yeah.
So that's what's missing from the kerygma, in my perspective, from when I was brought up.
I didn't even really hear it until I was maybe senior year of college. Really, like obviously I like believed in Jesus, and I knew that Jesus was God, and that he had died for me and all those things, but like I didn't really understand the full weight of it until I was old, until I was like 21, which is weird. I don't think you're gonna actually ever remember like acknowledging that, oh, Jesus' sonship is my sonship until like probably last year, which is whack.
And but maybe I guess that's like a more theological thing that like it takes, but
is it though?
I think I may have understood that as a child, because like I tell stories about like me as a kid. It was middle school that really effed me up. Like I was
just middle school
kid, and then middle school really screwed me up, and then I went to a Steubenville conference, got involved with youth group, and
then even more messed up.
But like when I remember when I received my first communion, like I remember this intense desire for prayer, and I didn't exactly know how to fill that desire. I just remember talking to my cousin about it. She's like, yeah, I feel the same thing. Like I'm so like I want to pray, like, but how do I do that? That kind of energy needs to be harnessed, and like you can teach kids how to pray. I think something happened where we accepted, and I think I fell into this too, where I was like, oh, these kids aren't ready to go to adoration yet, or something like, but like we do at my home parish, we do a Catholic vacation Bible school. It's like specifically a Catholic one, and on Wednesdays, the morning session, we don't do a morning session. We all go into the church and we have 5 to 10 minutes of adoration, and the kids sit and they pray, like they do.
Yeah.
And I've heard of even better CCD programs starting off every week where they sit in front of the Blessed Sacrament, and then the teacher goes up in front of the class and says, okay, we're going to go in the other room and do an activity, but if you want to sit in here, you can choose to go and do the activity, or you can sit in here with the other adults. And like half of the class will leave and half of the class will stay and pray a little while longer, and then ask an adult to take them to the next room.
That's crazy.
I know. Why don't we just do that? Like, I mean, it's not like,
because it's scary. It's like,
but it's literally the simplest thing. I think it's just because we don't pray, so we don't expect the kids to. Because it takes so much effort for us to pray, so we don't think that the kids are going to be able to exert that much effort, but they'll do it.
And we think that like unless we lead this like this program or this activity, then like I haven't done anything, and the teens won't, or the kids won't get anything out of it. And so there's no trust in the Lord, like doing something.
Yeah.
Because we feel like we have to do all the things and it have to be controlled. And it's like, if I just let them do, or let the Lord do what he wants to do, then, it might not have the results that I want, or the visibility that I want, which is,
Yeah, April just brought it up, a childlike faith. Like, there's a reason why we say that. It's because it takes so little effort for a kid to pray somehow. Like, if they're brought up well.
Oh yeah.
And it's not like a parent's fault if their kid isn't like a really great prayer, because it's just hard to develop. But like,
yeah,
I think my pride comes to the fact of like, I think that my words are going to be the thing that converts people's hearts. And so since those kids can't understand my words, there's no way they'll be converted until they're older. I think a lot of people fall into that, where it's like my teaching is what brings kids the gospel. And so they can't go to adoration, or not just they can't go to adoration, but like only me doing things will bring them to the faith.
Yeah.
There's
a story that somebody told me once of, it was the Focus Team Director Summit down in Mexico City. All the team directors go from all over the country. They go down to Mexico City and they have like a pilgrimage / prayer / build up session. And one of the area directors, so Focus is made up of regions, and each region has like 6 or 7 campuses, and the area is like the entire South or the entire West or the entire North. So there's one person that's in charge of that, of an entire area. So one of the area directors was there, and they were having like a roundtable discussion or something about mission. And somebody had asked a question, and this area director's daughter's like 7 years old. They were like talking about, I don't know what they were talking about, but she just pipes up and she says, "You just have to ask Jesus to do it for you, and he will." And it was like all these, 23, 24, 25-year-old missionaries are all like, wow, you're right. Like they're thinking so hard about all of these things. And then the child just comes in. It's like, you just have to trust Jesus and ask Jesus to do it. And all these people are like, wow, as it's some kind of revelation, but that's the power of the childlike faith.
When I was running my parent meeting, for my youth ministry, one of the moms brought her young kid. I think he was about 7. Yeah. And I was doing a Bible study as like an opener for the parents, and I was kind of talking to them about like, what do you want from your, it was on John 14 where where Jesus says like, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. And so I was talking about having like how we need to have a daily encounter with Jesus. And the kid, I was like, when was the last time that you had an encounter with Jesus? Why was I holding a meeting for parents? All right, Andrew. I'm going to minimize the chat again just because of that comment. He said, I was like, when was the last time you had an encounter with Jesus? And the kid was like, he's always with us. So all the time. And I was like,
dang,
nice.
That's awesome.
Nice. I was like, you're right. Do you want to talk about that more? And I had this whole conversation with the kid, and he was like, yeah. And like when we go to mass, like he's there. So like all we got to do is keep going to mass. And I was like,
you don't even need a job anymore.
I don't even need a job anymore.
Let this kid do it.
But it's so funny because it's just the simplest things. Like I was talking about earlier with discernment. It's like we don't sit in God's love enough.
Wow.
And that's literally all that you got to do. God only wants to love you. That's all he wants to do. And you just have to respond to that love. And on top of that, he gives you the Holy Spirit so you can do that. Like he knows that you can't find love outside of him. So he gives you himself, right? And he knows you need to respond to that love, but you can't of your own power. So he gives you the Holy Spirit and also all the saints and the angels. And so like, what else could we possibly need? Literally nothing else.
I just wish that he would just like show himself to me, like I just wish there was like a sign or something that like he could show me, and then I would be able to trust him more, because like I just don't. If he's real, like why can't he just do that?
It's so funny because the gospel like totally dunks on that idea.
Yeah,
and I hear it all the time. I never had an answer, right? Yeah. I never had an answer for my friends in middle school that would say like, well, why doesn't God just like open the sky and let everyone know? And
he did.
That's the thing. He did that twice.
Yeah.
He did that twice. And but it's also funny because it's like now I understand. It's like, first of all, it would be really stupid if we could just be like, God, are you there? And he's like, yep. And then it's like, oh, cool, God's at my beck and call. Like that's what we would think, right?
Yeah.
But then on top of
or
that,
we would be like the Israelites and we would just forget and then
do
exactly something dumb. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't, like the knowledge that God is there doesn't prevent me from sinning. IDK about you though, but like it's just
even just in the Gospels though, because like there's that conversation with the Pharisees where they're like, give us a sign. He's like, this faithless generation asks for a sign, but no sign will be given except the sign of Jonah, which refers to the resurrection.
Which refers to getting bit by a fish, bro.
Bit by a friggin' fish, bro.
And then
in the story of Lazarus, the poor man and the rich man, there's I don't know if you know the story. when
I'm aware of the
cool, rich man goes to hell and Lazarus goes to heaven, and then he's
Mhm.
like, Lazarus, like, can I come over to your side? Because like you obviously seem to be having a great time hanging out with Abraham, and there's like, actually you can't come over here because there's an infinite chasm between you and me.
Mhm.
And
he
he's
just
like,
wants one drop of water to cool his tongue.
yeah, he's like, can I go back and warn my family?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, like you made your choice. And he's like, okay, can you go back and warn my family? And he's like, no one will believe this message, even if someone were to raise from the dead.
Yeah.
Jesus says that, then he does that, and then people are like, why don't people believe why doesn't God just do something? He's like, he did, and he said no one would believe him even if he gave you a sign. So like, I don't know.
Isn't the quote like you didn't listen to the prophets, so like why would you listen to
if they didn't listen to the prophets, they won't listen even if someone rises from the dead.
Yeah. It's like the Lord has given us an entire just history of people preaching about the coming of Jesus, and then we have like actual accounts of the coming of Jesus, and we have an entire 2,000-year tradition of what he came to do, and people are still like, man, and it's just ridiculous.
But then in contrast, like how often do I act as if all of that's real, right? Like how often?
Every day, bro.
Shut up.
You're mad.
It's every day, bro.
I love the Paul brothers. Hey,
let's be the Paul brothers.
I'm down. If anybody else is in the chat that hasn't been here before, we're just literally asking or talking about questions that people have asked in the chat. So feel free to post away.
Yeah, welcome to the chat. Has Nick showed up yet? I gave Nick the
producer Nick. I'm not able to see like any other participants other than the people who were here originally. So
yeah. So if you're not commenting, if you're here and you're watching,
you're here and you haven't commented.
And you haven't commented, what are you doing? So Amy just asked me, are you going to Father Anthony's talk on Thursday in Bridgeville? I have to legally go to his talk because he is my boss and he will fire me if I don't support everything he does. So yeah.
I will not be there because I wasn't invited, 1, and I'm going to Florida that day 2, and 3, it's in Pittsburgh and I probably wouldn't go anyway. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
11 people are watching now.
Shout out.
How many people watch total?
Of you.
Who knows?
Who really knows? We have one other question we haven't talked about yet.
Oh, what's that question?
It's Pat, do you find it hard to not connect with these kids with patched elbows and backwards chairs? How hard is it to connect with the youths as you grow older and they stay the same age?
Well, I haven't been in youth ministry for much longer than literally 5 months, but I would say that it's the generational gap is so wide now.
Is it really? It's only like 10 years.
No, like the generational gap is getting wider by the year. You know what I mean? It's like the generational gap switches. I think after you leave high school, you're pretty much done. Like you do not understand the culture kind of even at all. I kind of passed it on to my students. They were freaked out by it. I was like, Snapchat came out when I was in high school. Instagram came out when I was in high school, but none of us had data on our phones, right? Like only the really rich kids had data on their phones. So we would go home and check Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook, and then we would do other things, watch TV, whatever, read books. No, we didn't. But
iCarly, baby.
iCarly, baby.
Those classic iCarly Snapchats.
And so they were like, that's weird. I was like, there was no like Snapchatting in the middle of class. And at least in my circles, there's like a lot of stuff that happens in their circles. They're talking about how like people will ask for nude pictures. And I'm like, that happened when I was in high school, but like it was rare.
It was really rare.
And I mean, I'm sure people were doing it, but it wasn't the kind of stuff that got passed around, you know? But Lifescene has this. Oh no, this isn't Lifescene. Never mind. This is Franciscan Lead has this list of scenarios, like what could happen. What would you do in this scenario for high school students? And some of the scenarios are like pretty ridiculous. One of the scenarios is, what would you do if if one of your friends was photoshopping girls from your high school's faces onto porn stars? And I was like,
what? Does that happen?
enough for like it to get to someone at Franciscan, for it to get to them enough times that they would put it in Franciscan lead, and enough, like
wow.
apparently it happens enough times that like we've had to respond to it.
That's crazy.
In lead training. Isn't that weird?
Who has that kind of time?
I know, that's like so much work. I didn't even
it really is.
I went to college.
It sounds like a joke saying like, oh, that takes a lot of work, haha. But like actually for a teenager to go and find a picture and then find another picture and do it, and then do it well enough that, like that it's not just a complete like ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
And then they're sending it around to each other. It's like, just thinking about how not depraved, but
depraved.
Kind of depraved. Yeah, that's a good word.
Yeah.
That's just so messed up. So,
but yeah, so it's I was trying to tell them that like the world that I went to high school in was different than the world that my parents went to high school in, and even that difference is like it's closer than the difference between them and me. I think. I think.
Yeah. It's
the other this actually ties into what I was talking about earlier is youth culture and adult culture are kind of the same now.
I was literally just about to talk about this.
Then go off.
Okay, because there's a talk that Gomer gives on his SoundCloud, AMD Gomer. So go check that out. But it's the it's the history of the millennial or something like that. It's like a theological history of the millennial. And he talks about the shift that happens in the 60s, in the 50s and 60s of the country, at least in America, being an adult culture to being a youth culture.
Yeah.
And the rise of youth sports and the rise of clubs and involvement and the professionalization of youth, which is like jobs like youth ministry and coaching and all of these things existing for the sake of youth. Like before, you wouldn't have a job other than a teacher. Like you wouldn't have a job that was working with youth.
Yeah.
And so now all of a sudden it's like, it's a career path to be kind of a second or third parent to these children.
Ooh,
and so
gross.
This is a huge rise that happened in the 60s. And then now we look at where we're at today, and more so than just dictating people's career paths and what's cool and what's popular, businesses are making decisions based on what youth want.
Yep.
Companies are orienting their entire focus towards targeting young people because why? Because young people are more susceptible to advertising. Young people are more, they're younger and they don't have as many life experiences. So they're just kind of dumber than everybody else. And they're more likely to get tricked into spending money. Like all of these, it makes a lot of sense business-wise as to why they would do that and why they would target young people, because all they have to do is ask their parents for money and just say, hey mom, can I have $20 for this? Can you plug in your credit card into this game or do this or do that? And what else do they have? Hordes of free time. It used to be the chart breakdown is like, when you're young, you have time and energy, but no money. When you're middle, you have money and time, but no energy, or no money and energy, but no time. And when you're at the end of your life, you have money and time, but no energy. And now all of a sudden we've given the youth money, time, and energy. And so they have all of the power, which is nuts. And it's near impossible to stay up to date with everything that's going on as someone like yourself, and to an extent me, who is benefiting from that professionalization of youth in some ways. Of like, that's our job. This is where we work now. And so how do we stay up to date without completely losing ourselves and who we are? I don't know, but it's a cultural phenomenon. This is something that's never happened before in the history of mankind. And we're smack dab in the middle of it. And it's not even as bad as it's going to get, which is crazy.
It's going to get worse. It's going to get so much worse before it gets better.
Remember everything that happened with Fortnite. And it's just going to be that, but worse for the next 50 years.
I mean, just a couple of weeks on YouTube, and I've already seen the worst of it. Like YouTube is mostly the worst, not the worst of it, but like I've already seen like how bad it can get. It's like, so we were just talking about the Paul brothers, right? So Jake Paul is a YouTuber who
it's every day, bro.
It's every day, bro. He was on a Disney Channel show and then got kicked off, and now he swears on camera. And who do you think is watching him? He was on Disney Channel. Who do you think's watching him? It's a bunch of 7 through 13-year-old, mostly girls and guys, right? And
mostly girls and guys, some others.
Sorry, mostly girls and guys.
I'm kidding.
And so he's obviously targeting young kids, right? And so you can say like, okay, that's fine. Like he has an audience, whatever. He's making money off of ad revenue, right? Hold on. He's not just making money.
Pause.
He also has a little like masterclass thing that you can pay for that shows you how to become a famous YouTuber.
No.
Not just how to vlog, how to become famous. And so
wait, hold on. How much is that masterclass?
Okay, I'm about to get to that. It's $7.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. I could
Mom,
that.
can I have $7? I want to see how to become a famous YouTuber. Okay, fine, whatever. Get my purse. And then you pay $7, and then your credit card is in the website. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you click through. Oh, to unlock the rest of the class, you have to pay $64. But hey, you don't have to enter your credit card information. So after mom's gone, your kid can just click that little thing. I mean, you don't think that's deliberate?
Oh,
you don't think that's
it absolutely
deliberate?
is. Oh,
that's absolutely deliberate. And here's the thing: is there's no FCC regulations on him.
That's crazy.
There's no business practice regulations on him. There's no fair use anything.
He can say whatever he wants as long as he's not like stealing other people's music and videos and stuff.
Yeah,
he can do anything.
He can do it, and there's really no. Hey, Father Anthony.
Hey, Father Anthony's here. Hey, what's up? We're talking about youth culture. Something you know a lot about. Old man. Anyway, carry on.
But yeah, so that's I was watching a YouTuber who actually like bought the class as like to see what was going on with it, and he bought it and he paid for it. He's like, all right, cool, I'll pay for the other thing. And then his American Express card actually sent him a fraud alert. Apparently, there have been so many fraud alerts that American Express has locked down that site. You just can't go to it. Kind of funny, right? Yeah. But yeah, so the YouTube culture alone, I think it targets young kids to get them to like want to pursue this. Is like all you have to do. You can actually. This is the thing. We used to joke about playing video games as your career when we were kids. Now you can actually do it. You can
actually do it. That's actually I haven't thought about that. That's nuts. Because I'd be like, what do you want to be your job?
I want to be a video game reviewer, ice cream taste tester. You could actually do it on YouTube and make money, right?
Think about someone like Mr. Beast, who literally just does insane crap for hours on end. Like he counted to 100,000 or 1 million or something, and just has hours long videos of just him doing these ridiculous things or saying words over and over and over again, or watching the entire Lord of the Rings in one sitting. Like it's doing things like that. And he's making millions of dollars. Which is, if I knew that it was that easy to make millions of dollars, then I would just do it. But that's the kind of content that for whatever reason is just getting super big and super popular, is these YouTube kids doing weird stuff, like no longer is it the days of, I don't know, the Smosh Brothers or who was it, like Freddie Wong, who would like put in all of this extra time and work into making these great visual effects, like having these really cool videos and parkour and all this stuff, right? That no longer are they the kings.
No longer is it Niga Higa making a questionably offensive video. It was different in 2008. It was different.
But they still, I mean, to this day, he still makes videos and stuff. Yeah. They're probably more like reaction video type things. Yeah. But like the level of content has just hit this baseline of like, if I put in this amount of effort and say these things and do these things and react in these ways, then I can make money on YouTube, because this is what the kids are looking for. The snappy, the quick, the funny, I don't know what they're looking for. I wish we should figure out what the kids want, and then maybe we could monetize this podcast.
Well, that's actually how you.
That's the next question.
That's how you market things, right? So you don't ask why aren't people listening to our show. You ask why are people listening to our show, and then you double down on that. But here's the problem: when you're a Catholic content creator, if the reason people are listening to your show is because of your personality, and then you double down on the personality and you forget the Jesus part, you go to hell.
You become
the worst.
I'm trying to think of someone who's that? There's a priest who like bought a Lamborghini or something.
No Lamborghini here.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I'm like, I think it's bad, but what can we do about it other than when we have kids, raise them to not be insane little turds?
Oh, Father Anthony texted me, how do I chat? But that was like 11 minutes ago.
Oh. Do you want to invite him onto the call?
I did, but he hasn't said it. I invited him on the call, but he hasn't responded.
That'd be great.
But he's active in the group chat.
He's active in the chat.
The problem?
Answer. We invited you into the call. Get on here, buddy.
Come on.
There it is.
Hey, let's go.
Hi, Father.
Were you like setting up super quick?
Wait. Sorry, I need to get rid of your YouTube because there's like 4 of you talking.
Okay.
So the problem was I was eating lunch with my family and ignoring them, trying to figure out how to chat with you guys.
That is a problem.
Is it okay that I crash your things? I'll leave.
No, this is great. No, we're happy.
Everyone
to
crashes our live show. The Catching Foxes did, and Scott Hahn almost did.
Scott Hahn. Remember when that picture of Scott Hahn walking in the background is one of my.
It looks like he's waving at you, and you don't see him. That's so funny. It's so funny.
Father Anthony, you ever seen that picture?
No.
It is hilarious.
So we did a live
entertain
show.
the Father while I tag him in this picture.
We did a live show at Franciscan, and apparently, so we did it in this dorm, and Dr. Hahn never goes to the dorms. I don't know why he was there, but
it's so funny. He showed up
10 minutes after our live show ended. He walks through, and there's a picture of him like turning and waving, and Ethan is like looking the other way, smiling, and it looks like you can interpret it 2 ways. It looks like either he's completely unaware of the awesomeness that's happening behind him, or Dr. Hahn is like trying to wave at him, and Ethan doesn't care.
Yeah,
either one is hilarious.
Did I ever tell you about how Dr. Hahn missed my best talk ever?
Really?
He did?
Yeah, we had this big men's conference. It still goes on. I was a deacon, and it's one of those things. Long story short, I had no idea what I was going to talk about, and the Holy Spirit wasn't helping me out. But once I got there, amazing, wonderful, spectacular,
perfect.
And I was like, I know that Dr. Scott Hahn is supposed to be at this conference. I wonder if he heard me. I wonder if he thinks I'm cool.
Yeah.
And as I'm leaving the venue.
Oh, he's gone.
Oh, he left.
Oh,
he froze.
I didn't say hi.
You're back. Here we go.
Yeah.
As you were leaving the venue, what happened?
You froze for a second.
Oh, as I was leaving the venue, I see him walking in. So he obviously didn't hear my talk.
Oh.
And I was just like, oh, well, I guess I'll never
disappointing.
Be cool.
Yeah, he's an in and out kind of guy.
Which I totally get and respect. I would do that if I was like invited to like a
seriously. I can't imagine. That's the one thing. That's probably the only thing holding me back from getting really famous and doing Catholic talks. It's just the pressure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
The only thing holding Ethan back from being insanely successful is all of the pressure he would hypothetically feel.
I thought about getting really smart and holy, but then I was like, man, there'd be too many people would try to stop me in the streets.
Anthony, are you downstairs right now, Father Anthony?
No. I'm at my rectory.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is where I live.
I was about to look like an idiot and run downstairs.
That would have been amazing and that would have been really funny.
Would have been a crossover.
Ran downstairs and realized
you can't have You can't have an internal crossover episode. That's not possible.
Have we talked about how Ethan's pee pop filter is a sock?
We have talked about it as
good
topic of conversation.
Good.
But isn't it good?
Remember when producer Nick did that, and he also used a bottle of Jack as a mic stand? Right?
Yes, he did. So it's respect.
Producer Nick is a man after my own heart. I want to meet him and also have his job.
I think he would say you don't want to have his job. I think that was what would happen.
Do you know what his job is?
Isn't he like a media guy?
Sort of. He does. He's with the communications department of the Diocese of Pittsburgh.
Mm.
So he does a lot of like training of people in parishes, that kind of thing. He does their website stuff. He does a whole bunch of other stuff.
I don't know if you know how to do that, Ethan.
I could do it if I tried.
It's one of those things. I tried
very hard, very fast. I could do it.
I got a job in the communications secretariat when I was in Diocese of Orlando, and I was the youth minute. I was the social media intern, and it was because I was young that I got the job, and I was like very okay at it. And I did that.
Usually the opposite of how things work. If you're young, you don't get a job.
That's the only thing that we have going for us, Patrick, is we are young and we know about social media. So that means we could get any communications job we apply for, whether or not we're qualified.
I do think it's funny when like the IT department comes onto my computer and they're like, "Oh, let me see," and I'm like, I know. Just type in the password. I know what I'm doing.
I know more than you.
I know more than you. I was trying to install the Adobe suite on my computer, and our IT guy Ken, shout out Ken, was like, "You can't download this on more than one computer." I'm like, "Ken, I know my licensing. Okay, I know my licensing, Ken." I hear an echo.
Oh, sorry, that was me going back onto the YouTube thing so I can see what's happening in the chat. Because if I'm gonna crash your live stream, I'm going to do it hardcore and make sure I can see what's going on in the chat as well.
So you can
pop out the window. So if you see the chat, there's 3 little dots. You can click that and click pop out window. Then you can close the video and just have the chat open.
I think we're good. I think I figured it out.
You did? Smart guy. No one needs IT over here in these zones.
No Father, IT boys on this podcast.
Father, I just listened to your Catching Foxes interview.
Did you? Did we sound dumb? That was so much pressure.
Why was it so much pressure? You guys really did great.
Popular.
Okay, they're not. You guys are, both of you, and Clerically Speaking and Catching Foxes are so much more popular than the Crunch. And it makes me so mad.
You're not more popular in my heart, though. You guys are number 1 in my heart.
You guys get so many listens just because of the collar. If me and Pat,
it's really that. It really is that.
I hate collared people.
That's the one way to success is if you start a podcast with a priest, guaranteed. Bam.
Bam.
You know, you're up there. But no, you guys sounded great. The stuff that you talked about, especially in the second half, was so good.
I haven't gotten through all of it yet because every time I texted Father Harrison. I didn't text you because you were in mass.
Good.
But I was like, every time you guys specifically talk about lay ministry, my little scrupulous heart just starts
I get so stressed
out
when I start hearing you guys talk about lay ministry because I'm like, did I pray enough? Am I holy?
Are we the baddies?
Are we the baddies? Am I on a one-way ticket to Helltown? Like,
and
it's terrifying.
And Luke said something that calmed my little heart down so quick. He was like, all of your actions in lay ministry should be a response to God. And I'm like, that's true. I prayed about this. God's not going to lead me into sin. Right. I took a theology test once, and one of the questions was, can the Holy Spirit cause you to sin? And I answered no, and that turns out that was correct.
No. Yes. That's huge. That's a huge problem that I deal with of like, am I doing too much? Like, am I taking over for the Lord? Like, where's the line between like working hard and being excellent in your role as a lay minister and saying like, oh, I can if I just kind of manhandle this and this, and I bring in my business acumen and I'm able to do this, then we're going to be great. You know, it's like, and so listening to you guys talk about it was like, oh shoot, I need to think about some things.
Yeah.
But it's crazy.
Good. No, I'm glad. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. So we'll see if we get a Catching Foxes bump in our listens.
I don't know how it is that your podcast started after ours and you still got on Catching Foxes before we did.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's because they weren't drunk when they interviewed you guys.
No, they were stone cold sober.
They were
hammered, and we didn't even notice.
And we didn't notice because we were so nervous. Probably.
Our cue. We were like.
We would not be nervous if we did it now, but then I had it in my calendar for months, and I was thinking about what I was going to say and what I would talk about. And then they were drunk, and we didn't talk about any of that stuff.
It was so funny. One time they called me. Just randomly, it was Luke Carey is Skyping you, and I was like, oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh.
I gotta set up my microphone.
It's like, and I was like, hello, and they were like, I told you he'd get answer, blah blah blah. Hey Patrick, you're on the Patreon episode, and I'm like, hey guys, what's up? And they're like, screw you, and then he hung up. And I was like, I'm sure what happened was they were like, first of all, intoxicated, and second of all, saying, hey, what if we just call one of the Crunch guys and told him to go screw himself? And that's not what they said, but you know.
Yes.
I just had a realization about the three of us.
What?
I think it's Patrick. I'm not going to presume anything on your end, but I think that if the thing that maybe might happen that you might have bought something for or were planning on buying something for happens, and then that goes through well, in a couple months there might be an event where all three of us would be together.
Yeah. I mean, I guess given those very broad
those parameters, I don't know if I can turn that into a Crunch live show without catching some kind of heat from like everyone.
That'd be so funny if we did that. It's like she'd be sitting here, Patrick. And then you'd be sitting there, and you'd have a microphone in front of you, and then I would just be sitting up there, and we'd just be talking to each other.
The question is, how much are you willing to sacrifice for the brand?
That's
for
true.
the brand. You gotta put everything into the brand.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Just thinking long term. Not that I don't know anything.
Hey, listen, she revoked all of her rights to object to this when she stopped listening to this broadcast. That's all I gotta say.
Yes. True.
Apparently she said I was listening. That's what she said in the texts that she just sent me.
Yeah.
I was like, live shows up, and she's like, yeah, I was listening. And I was like, that's in the past tense. What's going on with that?
Hey, Father.
Yes.
What are your plans for the summer? What do you got going on?
I'm giving a few talks around the diocese, which is fun.
Yeah,
because I don't get to do that very often because you're busy with parish stuff. But people ask me, I work that out. So yeah, I'm doing one next week. I think you guys talked about it, or someone mentioned it.
A bridge
chat. Yeah, a good buddy of mine asked me to do that, so I have to write that. Doing that, it's nice because normally I'm the chaplain at Westminster College, which is not too far from where Patrick and I work, and they're done for the summer, so that frees up my Tuesday nights, my Thursday evenings, Friday evenings, and then I'm going back to the parish. So the one thing is, like, we always have the 7 p.m. mass at the college, so that means I'm never at any of the vigil masses. So I actually get to, like, there might be people who, even though I've been here since October, maybe have never met me in my parish.
Wow.
Because realistically speaking, if you only go to one of the masses, there's a good chance you've never seen me. So
that's true.
Yeah. So that's what's going
on. We're in trouble, boys.
Yeah, that's true. Phoebe's in the mix. Father, what do you give talks about? Like, do you have like a go-to, or do you just talk about whatever people ask you to?
Not at all. If I have a go-to, it's the vocations talk. I can turn the vocations talk into anything. The vocation story has been done at 10-minute intervals, half-hour intervals. I can do an hour-long version of my vocation story. So that's the one I've got, like, really down pretty solid. Yeah. The rest is, it's tough because I'm way better at preaching than I am giving talks. So I think there's something.
What's the difference?
There is a difference. I think
refer to the Catching Foxes podcast.
Never refer to that podcast.
I think part of it is there is a liturgical and sacramental grace when I'm preaching. I firmly believe this because it's part of the liturgy, and there's special graces I think go along with that. And then I know my audience really well because they're my parishioners, and I know the gospel because I've been able to, like, pray with it. So it's a lot easier to do. A talk requires, for me, more work because I have to do a little bit more research. I have to do a little bit more of what's going on. So that's like, I won't use notes for a homily, but I'll use notes for a talk. So there you go. That's a big difference for me. I think talks are more difficult for me than just preaching a homily.
But I think you've unlocked, like, the key method, or not method, but like way to fitting in, like, or doing good talks is fitting in your testimony. Because if you have a good testimonial, then that shows people very easily and naturally, like, this is how Jesus Christ has worked in my life. And if they don't see that, then they're not going to, like, trust you or listen to anything that you say. So if you have that and you start from that, then you really can talk about anything. So if you don't have a testimony, don't give talks.
Yeah. Actually, I'm not working that into. So I had to give a talk when I went to Chicago. I hung out with all the Twitter priests. John Blevins of Twitter fame, not Twitter fame, Twitch fame, asked me to give a talk at his parish that he no longer works at, and of course I said yes because whatever. And I gave a talk on hope and was working in my story with that. So I almost have a talk on hope down pretty solid. So I'll probably be giving that over the summer because if anything, when you're closing churches and doing all this stuff, people need to remember hope. So
do you know where Jonathan Blevins' new church is?
No.
Okay. I didn't know if you knew because he offered me a job at his old church.
Yes.
And so I was like, if his new church is closer to you and he offers me a job, then I would move to be close to Father Anthony, not to Patrick.
Right.
Hey,
but it would still be far away.
What if every show was a live show?
That'd be crazy. I was thinking about that. We could make YouTube videos.
We could. What if we lived in the same house and we had, like, our own Team 10 sort of thing? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was you, me. Hey, remember the sitcom that I wrote?
I do remember the sitcom that you wrote.
So back before Father Anthony hit the scene, I wrote, like, a fake pilot for a show where Ethan and I moved to the big city. That's all we keep referring to it as.
TV
and we get an apartment together, and, like, the Catching Foxes guys show up and they're, like, housewarming. They have housewarming gifts, but, like, they're secretly trying to overthrow our podcast. Them and then that Catholic couple, and, like, the end of the first episode, it's like them catching foxes sitting around a table. They're all wearing cloaked hats and, like, they all wear the cloaked figures and all that stuff. And then they're like, they take off their hoods one by one. And the last guy to take off his hood is none other than Matt Frad.
What?
It would be really good, I think.
Fun.
Patrick had this phase where he was really into writing sitcoms or like thinking that we could be in a sitcom. If we
what
get that
talking about phase, that still happens.
If we get that show with EWTN, I will eat an entire dresser of clothes.
I was so proud of you. I hope my genuineness came across in the tweets when you sent that email.
Your genuineness came across when you actually upped your Patreon.
I did.
I didn't know that you would be that smitten by the email. I didn't know.
I found it so damn funny. I couldn't help myself. Like, you actually sent this to EWTN. I love it.
My mom got mad at me. I hope my mom's listening. Mom, I love you. My mom got mad at me because she's like, "Is that the real resume that you sent EWTN?" I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Oh, I hope you never actually want a job with them because now they won't ever take you seriously ever again. You completely cut yourself off." And I'm like, "Mom, you don't understand. It's the joke. It's the comedy of it.
It's the bit.
They'll want me for the bit. They don't want me for my resume. They want
also, you don't understand. You don't understand. I don't want a job with them anyway. Dude, I don't like
on a place where they can get it. We can still get a show."
My mom was worried about that too. It's so funny how much they care about our professional careers.
That's true. I mean,
if I cared about my professional career, I wouldn't be in this building right now.
If I cared about my professional career, I wouldn't.
I'm just kidding.
I have mixed feelings about that, Patrick.
No, that's funny. I think it's if we do it, and I think we should do it on YouTube only, or like some sort of streaming service. What do you think formed the comedy section of Formed?
I think form.org would pick it up.
If we start a comedy section there, I think that could be our play. That could be our in.
I have the phone number of none other than Dr. Timothy Gray of Augustine Institute fame.
You think we could call him and pitch our show?
Hello?
That's funny.
Oh man, our live shows are always full of guest stars. So
really are.
How do we do that? You know,
because you guys were like on a roll. Because I was listening in my car via my app, and you were doing a real good like discussion about how freaking crazy even middle school is now.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I've ruined all that. I'm not even mad because it's great because I'm having a lot of fun. But
you didn't go to the Faith Formation Symposium in Pittsburgh, did you?
I did not. No.
Okay. So there was a symposium in the Diocese of Pittsburgh for Faith Formation, and
shout out Diocese of Pittsburgh.
Shout out Dio Pitt. Dr. Bob Rice. We call him Bob around my parts.
Sure.
He came he came and gave a talk about Gen Z and like ministering to Gen Z, and he was like exactly what you said, Ethan. It was like this group has the most amount of money out of any young group of young people ever.
Yeah.
They're moving faster and faster. I was talking to some of my students about BoJack Horseman the other day.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, why are you watching that though?
Because it's so bad.
It's really funny. Like, don't get me wrong. I think it's funny and insightful, but I also think that it's very dangerous to watch if you're an impressionable young person. I'm kind of an impressionable young person, so I probably shouldn't be watching it either. But even then, it's like there's really no difference between what 20-year-olds watch and what 15-year-olds watch at this point. There is no more teen Nick.
Yeah.
It's just Nick.
Well, I don't even think it's Nick. It's everyone's on Adult Swim and Netflix.
Yeah.
Like there's not even like Nickelodeon maybe is there for young children, but there's no, like it used to be that we could watch I don't know, like shows for older people, and now it's like it's either adult shows or kids shows. There's nothing in between. And so or like adult content or kids content, nothing in between. Like there's no more middle ground. And so it's just pushing
whatever happened to Degrassi, the first generation.
Yeah, it's just pushing kids that are 8, 9, 10 into content that's for 14, 15, 16-year-olds.
Yeah.
It's like it's weird.
Yeah, it's not even like the content of those shows. Like I'm thinking of BoJack Horseman, I'm thinking of Rick and Morty, and I'm fascinated by both of those shows.
Yes.
One, because I think they're very well written and very clever, but also like the humor as a temporary escape from nihilism fascinates me because they're actually pretty honest about nihilism. How like really nothing matters, and they get so close.
How sad it is,
how it's sad, and there's no escaping it because like you can't watch more than 3 episodes of BoJack without getting back into like that, right? Same thing with the whole Rick and Morty thing, and I'm impressed with the fact they get really close to that question and really close to the inevitable doom of that worldview. And they sit there for like a moment,
and then they yank it back.
And then they yank it back because there's no more answer. There's only distraction through comedy. It's a fascinating like construct and a way to like frame a show. And that's so much, I think, of like a lot of even like meme culture on the interwebs as well. This kind of like really like fascinatingly, horrifyingly like morbid approach to life. Like we can't, there is no hope. We all know it, but at least we can laugh a little bit and distract ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, I saw that when I used to do comedy, and even still when I hear people talk about comedy, it was always extremely nihilistic worldviews, but from people who were like in seriously painful places. Like they felt stuck in where they lived, and they just were in bad relationships, or they were addicted to drugs or whatever, and they're up there talking about it on stage. And the direction they would go was like, because nothing matters, nothing is off limits, and I can say whatever I want. And it's just really scary, dark stuff that they would go to. And you can see that on these shows. But yeah, at least these shows have the common sense to be like, well, if nothing actually matters, we should all just kill ourselves. So I'm never actually going to say that. But people who make these jokes in real life, they don't actually really, they don't stop at that point. They just go forward, and they're like, actually nothing matters, and I'm sad forever now.
I think, I mean, to be fair, you have to have a pretty IQ to understand Rick and Morty.
Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah, they were pretty high IQ.
Pretty smart about science.
Yeah.
Did you know that they have like a real physicist on their writing staff that helps them write those shows?
Yeah, with all that real stuff that happens on the show, like all of
Big Bang Theory too. Big Bang Theory has a real physicist on the show to make sure they get all the math right.
Do not speak to me, Big Bang Theory.
No, it's true. You have to be really smart to get all those jokes. You might not catch it, but they made an Avengers joke, and Avengers is for nerds. So if you're not a nerd, you won't get Avengers jokes.
I don't want to be nihilism. I don't want to do nihilism.
I want to be a theistic boy.
I mean, I guess the response to nihilism obviously is like the joy of the gospel. You know what I mean? Like life is worth living and it's actually really good. But does that actually speak to the people who are really into these shows and think that there is nothing?
Well, I'm curious about like how humor works in those shows, because like humor ends up being something that's healing in the shows, and because of it, the way they're written. Like humor allows you to connect to another person and connect to that situation. Like it allows you to enter into the deep, dark truth, big quotes, truth for nihilism.
Incarnational humor.
Is that what I want to say?
No.
It's just, I'm trying to like, because humor and truth are pretty right there, right?
Yeah.
Pretty like close together. And they're dealing with what they think is a truth, which is nihilism. Which, if there is no God, then you have to go for
nothing matters.
If you're honest, right? So, but for humor, this is the argument that's popping into my head. For humor to work, there has to be a God. I don't know if this makes sense or not.
Is this why atheists aren't funny?
Well, it's because like
is this why Samantha Bee is just not funny at all.
Wait. I see where you're going, and I want to take it up. Can I take it up?
Please, yeah.
Okay, so it's funny because it's true is stupid. It only is funny if it is true. There's only things that are true are funny, and since humor relies on truth, it can only exist if there is some kind of objective truth, which can only exist if there's a God. So if nihilism is true, then there is no objective truth, which is a strange thing to say. That's contradictory, but anyway, there is no objective truth. And so there can't be any comedy because it's only true if you think it's true. But so much comedy now relies on relativism. It's like, well, I think this is hilarious, right? And so it's only don't get offended. It's like shock comedy was really common and it's mostly because all the comedians it's common on TV, but it was common back then too because like everyone there was an amateur, and amateurs really love shock comedy because they don't know how to get laughs. It's really easy, But yeah, so I think that's why they went to shock comedy. That it's the anthem of shock comedy is like, I don't care if this offends you, I think it's funny, because there is no truth for a nihilist outside of the truth that you create, which is existentialism. So that kind of swings back up in the other direction. Like that's where you go after nihilism is I create my own God. Yeah, it's me. Hooray! There is a God, and it's me. Congratulations, me.
Gosh, that's terrifying. Imagine being in a world with Louis C.K. as your God.
Oh, no, because then he'll do weird stuff.
Oh, weird.
Terrifying. No, it's bad. I don't know. Is that because a lot of comedy now? Do you guys remember the article?
I made a really funny joke about Louis C.K. and nobody liked it. There's a Secret Life of Pets 2 coming. I'm sorry, I need to say this. There's a Secret Life of Pets 2 coming out.
Yeah.
I was like, I really enjoyed the first Secret Life of Pets, but I really didn't enjoy the Secret Life of Louis C.K.
Oh. Wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
Better
than
our 3 likes. 3 likes. Yeah, better than the internment camp joke earlier, Ethan. I know. That's what and before the podcast started, I told him, Ethan,
he told me that we can't say anything dumb.
I can't edit anything out. So say your thing, and then I have a question from a very important viewer.
No, go ahead. Ask the question.
Okay, so Kelly Johnson.
Kelly Blue Book.
Kelly Johnson. Kelly and Trinity Johnson both just texted. Hi, I'm watching your live show. I have a question. Sock shoe shoe or sock shoe sock shoe?
Sock shoe shoe. What kind of world do you live in?
I switch it up.
Really?
I switch it up sometimes.
I would never have a shoe on one foot and a barefoot on the other foot.
Why not? Why not?
Because why?
Here's the question. Here's the question. What if you're putting your shoes on outside? Okay.
Again,
you would have to put your shoe down, your sock down onto the dirt, and then put the dirt in your shoe.
We can't define what is normal by what is abnormal. Like, we can't just say, oh man, that experience over there is like this, so that's how it should all be. Like, that's like a kid being born with 11 fingers being like, that's the normal thing. Like, get out of here.
Wow.
Right, no. I need to thank you. I need to thank you both for making me realize I'm very passionate about a topic I never realized I would be passionate about. Because the obvious answer to this is you put socks on both of your feet, and then you put shoes over the socks.
Yes.
And anyone who doesn't do this needs to go to a doctor.
Well, here's the thing.
Or you need to make an appointment with your priest and say, Father, there's something deeply wrong with my spiritual life because I'm a monster who has a bare foot and the other foot has a shoe on it with the socks.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so imagine
there is no thing.
There is a thing. You save so much more time if you keep your leg crossed.
Where
put
are you
the sock on, then your shoe on.
Stop.
Yeah, that time shaves off. Like, okay, think about that 5 seconds you save. You could use that time to tie a shoe. That you have to do that to look both ways before you cross the street.
Wait,
putting your socks on at this, and then
where are you putting your socks on? Where are you putting your socks on?
On my bed.
No, like,
and you have your shoes in your bedroom?
Yes, that's the question.
What kind of garbage person has their shoes in their bedroom?
The kind of person who lives in one room. I don't have any other.
You put the shoes by the door.
Yes.
That's a good point.
And I don't keep my socks by the door. So I put my socks on in my room and I go downstairs and I put my shoes on and I leave the house like a normal person.
Wow.
Alex, that makes the most sense. We're not considering
I put my socks on my microphone.
You're not considering if you put your shoes on first, then your socks. That way your shoes are protected from the rain.
Is there anything worse than the feeling of putting your bare feet in your tennis shoes?
Oh, it hurts.
No.
It hurts. Bad. Would you rather fight one whale-sized Danny DeVito or 20 Danny DeVito-sized whales?
I would fight one Danny DeVito or one whale-sized
From Adam. Danny DeVito. Shout out Adam.
Just for the fun of it.
Man. Like with your bare hands?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely one whale-sized
I don't think
Danny
I could
DeVito.
take a whale. I don't think I could do any physical damage
if
to
I
a whale-sized Danny DeVito.
Die, it's at the fins of a whale-sized Danny DeVito.
Ethan sees a whale-sized Danny DeVito. He says, finally, a chance for a glorious death.
I'm ready to go out like a true hero.
I was afraid I would die old in my bed. Now I can leave with glory.
I don't want to die old, decrepit, surrounded by friends and family that have loved me for my entire life with grandchildren and great-grandchildren. I want to get eaten by Danny DeVito.
I respect that, but I don't think I think I would want to be victorious, and I think I could be victorious over 20 whales Danny DeVito-sized whales. I think
the problem with this question is I don't think I could fight a whale-sized anything or 20 of anything.
You guys are thinking too big. We're not talking like blue whales. We're talking those like tiny little guys. Like a killer. Are we talking killer whale size? Or are we talking like sperm
killer whales or dolphins?
Still horrifying.
Killer whales are technically a dolphin.
I was thinking like blue whale, to be honest, because that makes a much better bit in my mind.
That was such a good impression. What the heck?
Really?
Yeah.
How do you know what a blue whale sounds like?
I spend a lot of time underwater.
Okay.
Making cow noises.
I love whales, for being honest.
Whales are probably my favorite aquatic mammal.
The idea, okay, this is something, Father Anthony, maybe you know this about me, maybe you don't. Patrick, I don't know if you know this about me at all, but I'm fascinated by leviathans. Like,
go on.
The concept of giant underwater creatures laying dormant and coming up. So when I went to go see Avengers Endgame in IMAX at 2 a.m. on the day that it came out, there was a preview for the new Godzilla movie. And in that preview, there's a giant Hydra creature that comes out of the water and fights Godzilla. And I was the only one to stand up and applaud at the end of that trailer. Because I think just the idea that there are giant ass monsters in the basements of our seas waiting to be unleashed on the world is freaking cool. And I love reading stories about them, and I would love to watch a movie about it.
I would love to pet one.
This is all I have to say on my TED Talk, but I just want you guys to know that that's a huge, huge dream of mine.
No, I totally support that. Does part of you believe that they actually exist or something like that?
I mean, yeah, because the ocean is only 10% explored.
Ocean is so big.
No idea
it's so big
what's down there. And the Lord talks about creating creatures of the deep, and he just doesn't give a size, you know? So
how would it get there?
Jesus puts it there.
How many of them are there?
At least I think there have to be one for each ocean. So 7.
That would be great. Oh my gosh. And then you could go on a quest to defeat them all.
You could the Arctic, the Indian, the Atlantic, the Pacific, maybe 4. How many oceans do we have?
We have 4 oceans. There's 7 seas. I don't exactly know what the 7 seas are.
I think we could have minor monsters.
There's one for like the Mediterranean Sea, and it's just a guy with like it's like a dinosaur with a mustache that goes like this.
Yeah. The Mediterranean.
It's a crab.
The size is based on how big the body of water is. So like the Great Lakes monsters are going to be big compared.
It's a Leopleurodon, Charlie. That's hilarious, Alex. I love that reference.
Yeah.
Wait. I had the follow-up question to this, Ethan.
Yeah, go for it.
Bigfoot, real or not?
Bigfoot? Okay, so I saw an X-Files episode once that convinced me that Bigfoot could be real. So am I convinced that there's a large creature in the forest? No. Am I convinced that there is some sort of man bigger than the rest of us that has taken to the woods? Yes.
So you think you don't think there's a Bigfoot. You think there's a large hairy man in the woods.
It's Father Dan.
That's not Bigfoot. That's Father Dan going for a hike.
The screen needs to be on me to get.
You stumble upon Father Dan in the woods, and he offers you a plate of pierogi.
You have to answer him questions 3. If you find Father Dan in the woods, you have to answer him these questions 3.
Oh my gosh!
To get the pierogi.
Phoebe and I were hiking, and we went on we went on a trail that was marked difficult, and we were like, "What's so difficult?" It's just a walk, and I was like, "There's like a sphinx at the end of this trail that like asks us 3 riddles." It's like, man, these are really difficult riddles. Speaking of Phoebe,
oh, that's funny. No, I think Bigfoot is real. Yeah, I'm in on Bigfoot. I'm in on the Loch Ness monster. Any other tall tales? Yeah, I need more evidence.
Cryptids.
I was really into cryptids for like 20 minutes.
I bet.
Great, because there was
a whole show on Cartoon Network. Yeah,
Cartoon Network, and I saw the advertisement for it, and I got goofed, and I was like, "Oh shoot, is this real?"
Oh shoot, they're coming.
So I started looking them up, and I was like, "Oh man, this is an ad. Dang it."
I got played. Andrew said something. He's like, and Jesus said unto his, when we were talking about having to go on a quest to defeat the seven Leviathans, and Jesus said unto his disciples, "I'll be right back. I have to go do something." The only dramatic pause in the Bible. Okay.
No, I think it's real.
It's back to serious question time.
Is it?
Yeah, because Phoebe asked a serious question.
Oh, what was it?
It was, first of all, y'all are hilarious. Thanks, Phoebes. I've got a serious question, though. If you don't mind, I'd like some thoughts about how to evangelize your family, especially those who have fallen away from the church. And I know we've talked about this before, Ethan, but I would like to get Father Anthony's perspective because he's a priest.
Oof. So it's a good question. And for me personally, if we can get real, it's very hard for me to talk about faith to my family, like at all. Yeah. So like my brother is Nick, producer Nick is obviously very faithful. I know my little brother Matthew, he goes to mass at least, he's in town and everything. My parents, but like my parents growing up, like they had no idea that I was like, they knew I went to youth group, but they were like shocked and had no idea what to do when I decided to enter seminary. Like they were like flabbergasted. So like it really depends a lot on family dynamics. So depending on your family, there might be like a lot of like just regular old family woundedness there that can make then evangelizing a very difficult thing to do. So every family is different. So you accept that and realize maybe first in your family, there's simply just relationships on a normal human level that maybe you need to repair or smooth over, or maybe there needs to be forgiveness. Okay. Because always, and Jesus even says this or something like this, that it's very difficult to evangelize to like people in your hometown, to your own family. So I'll start off this long prologue. I'll end the prologue by saying, don't feel bad if it's difficult for you to evangelize your family. That's a difficult thing to do. I really think the best thing you can do, and this is what I counsel people on, to be a good witness in yourself. Like be a radically good witness about going to mass, about praying, live the Christian life as best as you can, accepting God's mercy and God's love. And then over and over again, in a way that doesn't pressure them, lovingly invite them to join you. Lovingly invite them to join you for mass or join you for some parish event. Even like normal like family bribes, like, hey, I'm going to mass and then we can grab breakfast afterwards, something like that. Because I think that's probably the best way, because family dynamics can be so complicated. I think it's easier to evangelize to other people. I'm not sure that's a helpful answer, but that's kind of where I'm at with that.
It's like working.
It sucks. It's hard.
It's really tough.
Yeah.
Well, because like there's more at play, right? Because it's like you live with them your whole life. They've seen you when you're being bratty, so it's really hard to preach moral, upright living when they've seen you be bratty. But yeah, it's like
pick my nose again on the
oftentimes when when we preach the gospel, we think that we're supposed to be preaching moral living, but we're actually supposed to be preaching like life in Christ, which includes moral living, but it's like broader, right? So it's how to experience and live better, how to experience life more fully, how to experience God's love in a deeper way. A lot of the times when people have fallen away from the church, they fell away from the church because of reasons below the belt. That's like that's how I've heard it put. It's because they wanted to get married.
They don't like kneeling. Is that what
you're saying? The sex stuff.
Sex stuff, yeah. It's because they wanted to have sex and couldn't. They wanted to get married to someone, but they were married, divorced. They want this, that. They wanted to get married to another man or another woman, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's stuff like that usually gets people. And it's like, how dare you tell me what I can do with my body, et cetera, et cetera. So it's for those people, church is always a place of judgment. Regardless of how much we try to make it not a place of judgment, for them, they know you don't agree with my lifestyle. This is a place of judgment. So when it comes to evangelizing people who are in that spot, family or not, you're always going to have to approach it from, let's talk about Jesus first. Because oftentimes I've met a ton of people who are like, yeah, I still pray, I just don't go to church. Mm-hmm. And so like a lot of times when I was younger, I would roll my eyes at that and be like, you're an idiot. But now
and a liar too, right?
And a liar. And now I'm like, okay, cool. At least that's a starting point, right? If someone at least acknowledges that they have a spirit and that spirit can communicate with a God that exists and loves them, that's like half the charisma right there. I just got to fill in the gaps, right? So we can work through that. So I guess like there's really no cut and dry answer on how to evangelize your family because everyone's different. But I can say without hesitation, like just find where that person is at. What do they agree with the church on? What do they like about the church? What appeals to them? And just hammer in that. Like just keep going to that. Keep bringing that up.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
It's hard to if like your family members aren't necessarily like open to discussing it.
Yeah.
So it's like at that point you can pray a lot for them, and if you're public with your faith, and if you're somebody who is very open, whether it is on social media or just with your family and like everybody, because everybody in my family kind of knows like, oh, Ethan's the missionary, like whatever. Which is, and not everybody's going to have that like as easy of a label as like a job title, or if you're a priest or a youth minister, like we all get it kind of easy because everybody knows, but maybe your family doesn't know. And so if you're public and you're praying for your family and you're praying for an opportunity to talk to them, then there's a good chance that the Lord will say, all right, like here's your chance, like to put into practice these things. But forcing it is not always the best way to go, and just like walking in and saying like, I'm going to, make it happen. You know what I mean? But like asking the Lord for that wisdom and the prudence to know when is a good time to talk to this person about this thing.
We used to get this talk all the time at the end of Steubenville conferences, I remember. And I was never actually like clear on what my action was supposed to be, because it was always like, you're going to go back and everything's going to be the same. And all of your family members are going to be like, what's going on? Like, why are you so different? And I was always like, all right, cool. Like that's going to happen. So what am I supposed to do about that? And that's something that I don't know if that's changed over the past 4 years, but that was something that I felt was missing from that kind of discussion was, how am I supposed to, after a conversion experience, how am I supposed to go back changed? And I think the answer is just like, for that situation, just keep making sure that you remain a changed person so that they don't look back and be like, oh, remember that week you were really into Jesus?
And that's very hard with a family, because there's like a black hole, like a vortex to like that sucks you into what your role in the family is supposed to be. And even on a natural level, this happens when like people go off to college and they do become different people. Once they come back into the house for either the summer or the weekend or whatever, then immediately like you start acting like a child again, because that's what you're supposed to be. Like these unspoken family dynamics, like we don't know how to deal with each other except in these roles. So when you have a conversion experience and you're starting to break out of that role, like your family will see that they might see that as an assault on the family, when it's not. It's just changing dynamics. So it's even more so than just the regular growing up and our relationship is changing. So that adds on top of it more difficulty.
I make food for myself like every day, but when I went home for the weekend, I was like, Mom, can you make me breakfast?
Right? And she probably was really happy to make you breakfast.
She did make me breakfast. Like, are you eating enough? Are you?
And there's something good about that, but also on the flip side, it can be a difficult thing too. Yeah,
because you get food made for you.
Right?
It's great.
I agree. I don't have anything to add.
I have a full-time job, and she bought me lunch.
Heck yeah. No such thing as a free lunch. There's free lunch right there.
Except from the mom.
Oh.
I wonder if my mom's watching. Hi, Mom. Are you watching this 2-hour podcast?
My parents were joking about coming down and intruding. You guys, you're lucky you're not in the same house as your family, but at any time I've been on edge because my dad could just burst in and just start shouting.
How you doing, son?
Your dad burst in. He's got a shoe and a sock on one foot, barefoot the other one. Talking about Leopleurodons for some reason. I don't know. I have no idea who your father is. This might not be an accurate description.
It's not, but it would be. That's why it's funny, because if he did do that, I'd be like, wow, what happened?
Happening?
In an hour and a half of the time, you had 4 beers.
Oh man.
This is good. Patrick, I just want to let you. I'm gonna be upfront with you. We've been doing this for 2 hours at this point. I'm very hungry. I very have to pee.
I ate before I came, so
I did not eat before I came because I wanted to come in hungry for content.
Oh, and as an update, we've been recording ourselves for the past 2 hours, but we have not been recording Father Anthony. So what are we?
We're gonna download that YouTube audio.
That's what we have to do, and rip the YouTube audio.
And it's gonna go up online. We'll see.
So glad.
This is gonna be our podcast. We should split this up. This is long enough to split into 2 parts. Like
this is long enough to split into 2 parts. So we're actually
Father Anthony.
We're actually gonna do that then. So
are you gonna do that for the next 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh no! So you're not going to listen for 2 whole weeks.
Oh, you're saying that I'm not going to listen to my own voice? You are incorrect, sir. I definitely will.
You missed a whole hour before you got here, and it was.
I know. I wanted to. I was pumped, but you got to spend time with the family, which was good.
Yeah.
I got a free lunch out of it. So,
hey,
there you go.
No, I don't know what we could do. Like half of it goes on Patreon, half of it doesn't. If you want to hear the second half, donate. $2 to the cause, like that sort of thing. We could hold Father Anthony.
Alex, you're not allowed to tune out for 2 weeks.
Hostage.
Oh man,
we could do something like that. We'll talk. We'll have an internal discussion.
It'll be great.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, that maybe are listening or watching this, and you're not a part of the Patreon crew, we've been really active on Facebook, been really active on Patreon. People have been posting memes. We've been sending memes to each other. We've been having good discussions on the page. So if you want more part of that, be like Father Anthony. And if you already donate, increase your donation by $5 a month. Because there's an email that I sent to Mother Angelica's television service. So do that if you want. Or donate if you haven't donated. But
yeah, so patreon.com/thecrunch. You can give, you can get free stuff. Sometimes.
Or if you don't want to support us and you want to support the producer Nick and the Missionaries of Charity, you could go to patreon.com/ is it just clerical pod?
Clerically speaking on Patreon.
Yeah, okay.
Patreon.
Check them out. They've got good stuff. Whatever you do not go to patreon.com/CF.
April, you only get a shout out if you were here the whole time.
Yeah.
Not.
That's true. I can't afford to donate. Yeah, I'm about to be. I heard that. Oh, hey, it's like tithing. If you have a missionary salary and you're donating to us, it's kind of like a tithe to the church.
It is kind. It's not.
It's especially like a tithe to the church if you give.
It's more of a tithe.
Father Anthony, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to leave the people with before we?
What the hell, dude?
Dude, I would never.
I get the final thoughts.
This isn't the final thought. This is just a final comment.
You better not be a final.
It was super fun crashing.
Next.
Wait. You guys, you can fight. You can fight. But like before you fight, I will say, hey, it was fun crashing your podcast. This is great.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
thank you.
You guys are great.
Thanks for last minute podcasting for the second time.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm coming out of mass. I'll be there in 5 minutes. That was the greatest I've ever received. It was wonderful. Patrick, do you have anything else for the people?
Make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel so next time you can pay us money to have your chat at the top of the chat box.
No, say what Alex just said in the chat.
The inner machinations of my mind are a charisma.
That's funny. That's hilarious.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to log off. Thank you all for listening. Please pray for us. We'll be praying for you, and we will see you next week. Oh, sorry. Somebody just got here. We're out, dude.
Bye, Benjamin. Bye, Benjamin.
Bye, Ben.
We've been here for 2 hours. We're so sorry.
Sorry, buddy. I'll keep it up for you so you can watch everything happen when you weren't here. All right. Bye.
Okay. Bye.